All right, joining us now is the host of Stacy on the Right on SiriusXM Patriot, Stacy Washington. So your just initial reaction to the former vice president coming back today saying she's going nowhere, she's written a book, and that she wants to fight on.
Well, I think it's good for Californians that she's not going to run to be their governor because she was polling ahead in that race. But it's interesting to me that she's putting out a book about what she calls the shortest presidential campaign in history. And I'm wondering if it's going to be as calorically deficient as her campaign was, because there's really nothing for her to write about here. What new thing could she share with us? It was a campaign of her making word salads and sharing her thoughts, which were really like unthoughts. They were the unthoughtiest thoughts we've ever heard. And it made no sense for her to be the nominee for Democrats. And now she's putting out a book about how it made no sense.
You know what it reminds me of, Stacey? It reminds me of Hillary's book, What Happened, because here she's going to tell us how it was the shortest campaign and she wasn't ready. And that's what happened. But we all know what happened. She lost.
She did. And I have to say, I was thinking about this, like, why would she decline to run for the governorship of California? Well, what a huge step down that would be. I mean, she had her own private jet. She had Secret Service, full run of the White House. And Joe Biden was hardly the boss you would, kind of cower from. So she had it really good as vice president of the United States. Being the governor of California might actually be a little bit of hard work, especially taking it over after Gavin Newsom has basically destroyed their economy, destroyed their law and order, even destroyed their electric grid. So she's looking for something that has the same level of panache as a vice presidency. But again, it has to be light on actual substance, because she proved to us for 4 years that she can't answer questions. She can't stand up a campaign website. She's not a serious person, but she was the vice president of the United States. It's a real juxtaposition for us to consider as Americans.
Well, Stacey, it just seems like this is yet another rebrand of Kamala Harris. She's had many, many of them. They tried to rebrand her in this short campaign as someone who was authentic and who could kind of come to the middle and not talk about Joe Biden, but also carry his legacy forward. None of these things made sense. And now all of a sudden she's putting herself in a position where she wants to be involved in the midterm elections. And if I'm a Democrat trying to move on from the scandal of the Biden administration, I don't really want her campaigning for me, not to mention reminding everybody of the bad policies that Biden was going to lose on should he have been staying in the race.
Yeah, so Democrats have to be looking at her and saying, Kamala, can you zip it? Cory Booker, stand down. Like, they've got a lot of people talking right now. Jasmine Crockett, widely unpopular with everyone else outside of people in her district. And they're in a messaging crisis. They also are trying to stand up against the buzzsaw that is President Trump and his winning messages, winning on tariffs, winning on foreign policy, bombing refrigerator door-sized targets with B-2s and complete stealth, 125 aircraft up and off the ground, perfect sorties, 100% mission accomplishment. There's a certain place at which you have to kind of step back and say, my message isn't working, or my party is in disarray right now. We need to stop and have like a Camp David type retreat and figure out what our message is going to be. Democrats don't have anything to run on right now because they're on the wrong side of every issue. If you're sitting at the kitchen table with a Democrat right now, you're telling them to get up and go sit at the kiddie table because adults have things to discuss. President Trump, he's not just winning, it's 6 months in. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about the kind of stuff I'm over here shimmying every night on the radio because my guy, the one I voted for, the one I donated to, the one I watched take a bullet for this country, is killing it just like he promised on the campaign trail. And I have no complaints. Yeah. So, Democrats should figure something out, but not yet. Greg Gutfeld said, don't let your enemy up off the ground. I want to keep him down there.
And
it feels good right now.
Kamala Harris's legacy was 9% inflation with Joe Biden.
Bad policies.
And the auto pen. And the fact that she went on The View and said she wouldn't do anything differently. Yep. Let's move on to this. It's hard to say what is worse, Zohan Mamdani and AOC's radical socialist agenda, or that Gen Z actually thinks these two are heroes. Watch this.
Seeing people like Zohan Mamdani, AOC just gaining so much more footing and so much more recognition in the policy field is very empowering. It's giving me a lot of optimism. I think it's mobilizing a lot of youth to also really align more with the socialism platform.
I think candidates like Zohan Mamdani and AOC are really inspiring to see.
I think people are looking for fresh leaders, for fresh thinkers. And I think that, to some extent, that's probably why a lot of these young voters are really resonating with AOC and people like Zohan Mamdani.
Stacey, my co-host on the show that I do at 12 o'clock, the Big Money Show, he actually talked to a bunch of these kids and asked them if they even understand what it is that they're saying is fresh and new and that they want to vote for, and they really don't know. They were actually pretty honest about that. He is young and he's flashy and he's running a social media campaign. It's almost like they're voting for an influencer in some way rather than really understanding what this guy is all about.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jackie, when you call them kids. They're babies. They haven't really brought in enough income to watch Uncle Sam take a bite out of that. And you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, my money is gone because of the taxation burden that you incur once you really start making money. And that's usually when people become Republicans. These kids are too young to have experienced that yet. For the grocery store thing, remember when Zoran Mamdani came out and said he wants to have a government-run, state-run grocery stores there? Here in Kansas City, I'm there a lot, 3 hours from here in St. Louis. They already have a government-run grocery store that's been up for 5 years, I think, and they have this year, their net loss is $855,000. They can't keep more than one tomato on the shelf in that store. Half the store shelves are empty because the government, they can barely run the post office. Come on, government is for national defense. It's for, roads, bridges, streets. It's not for grocery stores. Zoran Mamdani just spent a couple of weeks at a wedding in Uganda where he had signal jamming technology employed to prevent people from taking photographs of his compound. The man owns a compound in a foreign country where they literally live in mud huts and have slavery still. So I don't think he's fit to be the the mayor of New York. But there's also a bigger issue here. This man represents a clear and present danger to our way of life as Westerners, as a capitalist republic. We're a constitutional republic. We have a capitalist system of monetary freedom. And he's a danger to that. And I think we need to think about for the future whether or not recent immigrants and people who demonstrate a love of socialism and communism can actually be elected officials in this country. I know that's not popular, but I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to tell the truth. And he is a clear and present danger to us.
We're not just
we
talking
should be
about
doing
tax
more.
rates here. We're talking about two different economic systems that are completely opposed to each other. He's a champagne communist, as you mentioned. He has a lot of money from his family. And maybe these young people should do some history and read some books about Cuba and the fact that Fidel Castro was in his 20s when he took over the country and stole everything from all the people living there. And they're still living in poverty as a result. So we will see what New York decides to do.
We will see.
All right. Stacey Washington, thank you so much.